This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and create a change order here, and we'll start and stop the video so that it's only the pertinent sessions as opposed to a bunch of other stuff going on here. So we're going to go into purchasing and purchase orders, and we're going to go ahead and go to create purchase order change orders.
Okay.
And the change order again is for helping us capture something that is differed significantly in the purchase order and falls within the rules that you guys want to create an actual change order for a purchase order. If you're doing a minor change, obviously you don't have to do a change order. It would just depend on your internal organization's rules around them. So I'm going to go ahead and clear our screen, and we're just going to focus on purchase order 2. So I'm going to come in, we're going to query PO2, and then bring that up. So here's a typical form just sort of where we have here. And so we're going to go ahead and put in today's date as the day we're going to do the change order. And because we are on current change order 0, our change order number here on the left-hand side is going to be number 1. And basically we come up to the gears up here, and then we hit create change order. And then just to be doubly sure, I also come over here and hit this create change order button as well. And that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, I'm going to hit save because we're going to go ahead and save our transaction. And then the modification is complete. So we now have a new change order, PO number 2, change order number 1. So if we go back into our purchase order and query our purchase order, we're going to see that when we pull this up, then it's going to pull it up as change order number 1. So we see change order here. So here's where we can go ahead and add a new part. We're going to go ahead and do a service. I think I put one in there. We didn't add a service. All right, so we're going to go ahead and come back with miscellaneous. And we're going to put in oil change. And we're going to do that this weekend before we go riding because it's going to be a nice weekend. Wait, 29. Quantity 1, and it is $600 for an oil change.
Expensive oil change.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had to do it in Italian. You can't just do it in a regular. So our ship to address is our 2 corp. So everything that we would add for a particular standard purchase order is here in the system. And now we just hit save on our PO. So now the question is, so how do I track that change order versus the regular purchase order? Next we come in, print purchase order change orders, and then we select our purchase order number. And we're going to go from the baseline change order of 0 to the current change order 1. So we want to see the changes between the original purchase order and the new version of it that we have. So now we just come up here and we hit print. And we're going to open that up. And then there is our cover page. Here's our purchase order with 1 million bits of text. But if we see here, we have inserted line 2 for miscellaneous oil change is $600. And if we go down to the very bottom of the PO, PO total amount is 600, net change is 600. So apparently we didn't have a value for line 1 set up. So
Okay.
But if we had a line value for line one, we would see line one inserted line two, and then the overall change of the PO. So this one,
Okay.
because line one was 0, the PO only changed to $600 because that's what the oil change was.
Okay.
And then so you would print this out and send it to the customer and PDF it and everything else you would want to do and kind of go from there. So I'm going to pause and we're going to take some questions, and then if we want to go back and I'll watch.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cover the creation of line or header text specific to a purchase order, purchase rec. So in order to do that, we're going to come in here to product definition, controls, and then manage standard text. And in order to have access to this screen, we'll have to make sure we grant access to this particular screen since it's part of the control area within that module. So the standard text field is kind of a blog databases area down here, up to 30,000 characters. So the change order codes, again, is something that MIKEL is going to have to determine how they're going to name these change orders. There's typically a naming convention that happens, so everybody kind of follows that as they go through. I'm going to go ahead and put change order. And this and we're going to go ahead and hit save. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and added a change code check for called change order. We're telling that the vendor that all of the terms and conditions remain the same, and this is just a sample. We're going to come down here to the bottom, and we're going to say that where do we want to make this text applicable, or where can we use this text? And of course, all the other documents that are part of CostPoint are available here. Where we're going to say just on all PO types, we're going to hit select, and then we're going to go ahead and default it to number. There's no auto default number, so we're just going to go ahead and select that and hit save. If for some reason we want to go ahead and update this to add our terms and conditions and see the website, we would go ahead and add a new version of this, and then just click the new version to say go ahead and inactivate the other version, and then we would check the deactivate another revision. So kind of like parts, change ord would stay the same. There might be a new number here, and then we would go ahead and disable those as part of that process. And I think those are in the work instructions also in the Word document. So any questions on adding the text to the text field itself here?
No, there aren't.
Okay,
Very
good.
self-explanatory.
It is super simple. You know, the only other thing we're gonna have here is that we can print it in bold or not, and some folks like bold, some people don't. But other than that, everything else here is gonna stay pretty static. So, and pause the record.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So, Kay, to answer your question on viewing purchase order history, we would go into the view purchase order change order screen, which if we follow our breadcrumbs are materials, purchasing reports and inquiries, and then view purchase order change order. We would enter our PO number at the top, hit our lightning bolt to retrieve our record, and here we can see a few data elements. So it'll bring up the most current change order, and under that most current change order, it'll say our current change order line, which will be identified over here to the right as current change order line. And these are the line and the elements that are as the PO sits today. If we go to purchase order change order history inquiry, if we click on change order line 0 over here in the old change order line side, which is also down here at the bottom of that screen, it brings up any purchase order lines that were part of that original change order, as well as any other text that is on that change order 0. So we notice that we had our Buy American text here below. If we come up to the next change order, which is change order 1, we can see that we've added line 2 and added a value to line 2, and our header text on change order 1 did not change to Buy American. We can also click on our current change order header text, and we can see that there was a change to the header text where we've gone to the change order text saying that all of the terms and conditions remain the same, And if we look at our current line, which is found here on the header area, it lets us know what the current lines are and what their current states are, whether they're received or open, and what their amounts are in the system. So kind of gives us our full overview of that information. And should we have multiple line accounts, which might be possible, then we can go ahead and review line accounts and everything related to the purchase order that's relevant. Any questions at this time?
No, no questions.